Good afternoon, IT Business Owners Group. We are joined today with Colin Knox from Gradient MSP. Welcome, Colin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I understand you have this product, Gradient MSP, that you've created, and I want to learn all about it. What can we start off with?
Oh, we can start off with a ton. It's a fairly new, we'll call it arena or category for MSPs. So obviously I've got a fairly long history in the MSP space here, having worked at MSPs, did my own MSP for a number of years, built and sold that, created Passportal, so moved over to the dark side, built a channel vendor up, exited that, SolarWinds, and then, yeah, now we're kind of back at it. But what we've kind of landed on is a lot of lessons that we had from running our MSP and growing it, trying to figure out what was part of the secret sauce that made us grow so quickly. Like we jumped to 4 million in revenue in 5 years. So once we cracked some of that nut, we were adding like $1 million a year in ARR. So trying to figure out what impacted that. Why did we grow so quick? Trying to figure out and see what were some of the fundamental complaints and issues we saw as a channel vendor that were gripes that MSPs had in either interacting with us or what we saw in the community. And as we took time to kind of sit back and observe the market after I stepped out of SolarWinds, watching the subreddit and watching ITBOG and all of this stuff, it's just there's so many questions going on and flying every single day. And a lot of those are technical in nature, but a lot of them are about the business. And it comes down to, all of us, me included for sure, having just like stumbled into entrepreneurship and being all of a sudden from one day to the next, I'm a business owner, but I am nowhere near a business person, right?
Gotcha.
And you don't know what you don't know. And you're kind of just like, learning by the skin of your teeth as you go and figuring things out. So what we're starting to put together at Gradient is a data intelligence platform for MSPs. And so with that, it's all about how we can help MSPs make better decisions. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that's going to dictate any success you have is not how hard you work, right? It's not how charismatic you are. It's not if you're charging 200, 300, 500 bucks per user per month. It's the decisions that you make over the course of your business journey that will dictate your success or your lack of success. So when we sat down to say, how can we impact their success and impact the decisions they're making, the first part was understanding how we can help MSPs become more data-driven in their organizations and ultimately have better trust in the data that's feeding their decisions. So the first thing that we came out with just over a month ago now was the Gradient's data hygiene module of our platform. So we were met with a little bit of skepticism, including in this group, by the way, but all good, of people just wondering like, what the heck, because it's free, right?
Sure.
And so people were trying to figure out like, what's the catch? What's going on here, right? Like, who are you gonna sell our data to? And yeah, it's a free product. We figured it's something that can really help MSPs. It's something that can also help any channel vendor, because dirty data and just we'll call it unkept PSA is a big stumbling block to getting a lot of IT or MSP tools implemented and adopted because of their integration of the PSA. So, and then it's a win for us, because if we're building a data intelligence platform to help feed MSPs like you with the data you need to make the best decisions of what steps and what things have other MSPs taken that drove their success? What steps have they taken that hindered their success? Well, then we need data to fuel that. So we're not going off to sell data to the dark side and say, hey, here's Scott's MSP and here's all of his clients and you go nuts, guys. No, it's to be able to say like, hey, Scott, here's how you and all of your peers have been performing. Here's what's happening. And it's not named on all of your peers, but it says, hey, if you want to look at $500 to $1 million ops, if you want to look at $1 to $3 million ops, and even go right down to, say, South Carolina, right? How are people performing? Because all the economies are different around the world,
Sure.
actually, but even across the US, it's, are you in line with the standard? Are you ahead of the curve? Are you a little bit behind? If you're behind, what do you need to change to catch up, or even, you know, leapfrog what the other companies are doing? And we can do that by sharing the steps and information about what's happened strategically in the business, what services have been offered, what are people charging, you know, all of these types of information to help make those recommendations and decisions. So that's where we're going with this. We do have another module that'll be coming out in November that some people might say, like, hey, what's the connection there? I promise you there's a connection there, but it is going to be a paid for service that will help automate some administrative burden that every MSP faces in their business, and arguably was my number one hated thing about running an MSP when I was running an MSP. So yeah, that's really where we got started and what we're driving towards.
So how does GradientMSP go in and clean the data, so to speak?
So we look at a bunch of different factors. So when you plug in your PSA, and I won't go through having to demo all of that, because honestly, that would be like,
Sure.
takes 2 seconds to demo, first of all, but it's also fully available on our website at any time if you want to watch anything. We're one of those weird vendors, I guess, that if you want to see our software at any time, do it. Go look at it. If you want to know anything about us or the product, it's all available on demand for you to go and check out. It's free to sign up. It's free to use. Go nuts. But when you connect in the PSA, we'll synchronize a bunch of the data, and we share everything about what we're synchronizing and what we're pulling in. But we'll ingest a bunch of the information out of the PSA so that we can do an assessment and find out all the relationships between the data points and data records in the PSA. So when we start to look across the 6 categories, or we'll call them like record types that we really assess, which are accounts, contacts, contracts, issue types, services, and the PSA users, we use relationships and a bunch of other metadata around to tell us how relevant those records are, right?
Okay.
Because if you think about your PSA, when I was going back to things, you know, and I'd pull a report and I'd see this disgusting donut or pie chart that had 1 million slices on it to tell me where our revenue was coming from. And then I'd look in and say, well, we're not even selling MDM anymore. Like, what the heck? Like, why is that there? And so then you open up your list of services and there's like 3 bajillion things listed. And you're like, holy crap, I don't want to. You go to maybe disable it. And then it says, oh, this is in use in another contract. So then it's like hunting for landmines of what can I actually clean, what's real, what's not. So we take a look at things, right? And we'll say like, hey, here's services. Here's, you know, this service is not associated with any active contracts, or this is a service that's on some contracts, but has $0 amount and 0 quantity and anywhere. It's just kind of been nilled out. If it's accounts, you know, looking at things like how active have tickets been? When's the last ticket that was available for that client? Or when was the last opportunity for that client? Any changes or adjustments and things like that. So we can start to say like, hey, if you're informing your opportunity pipeline of what you think you're going to close in the next 6 to 12 months and where you think your business is going to be, don't be misguided on that by opportunities or accounts or prospects, which are years old. They may not even be in business anymore, let alone your likelihood of closing them, because you probably haven't talked to them in 2 years. Don't let that misguide what your close rate is and why you think you might have so much money in revenue 6 or 12 months down the line, right?
Okay.
So we're seeing a whole bunch of things. We actually had one of our partners come in. So we're at almost 200 MSPs in the last month who have jumped on and started cleaning their data. In our early access program, we had an MSP that came in and we synced up their data, and we started looking at it together with them. with the recommendations. And the second he hopped into the contacts screen and view, the highest confidence contact that was like, this is the dirtiest contact record you have in your PSA. He was like, holy crap, there's no way. And we're like, what? He said, this totally explains why that client has been so slow in paying our invoices for the last while. I'm like, why? Because we automatically send our invoices to that person every single month. And they clearly don't even work there. They haven't had tickets in years. They've had no associations, nothing else. And they were just gonzo. So this was like going into this orphaned mailbox where maybe somebody was checking it every 2 to 3 months to see, is there anything here? Oh, there is. And then these guys are just chasing and re-forwarding invoices onto other people and stuff like that. So all of these kind of weird encumbrances and consequences that are hitting the business that we're starting to see now. But it's all of these little nuances of kind of indication or validation as to what level of activity any of these records have in the business. And then obviously huge impact, like just this intrinsic cost consequence that's hitting the MSP, unbeknownst to you, that this dirty data is having on the business. So we're on this crazy wild mission and audacious goal to help eradicate $1 billion in dirty data costs for MSPs. No timeline set on that, but that's our goal, is to clear out $1 billion, because there's in data science they say that a dirty record comes at a cost of $100 per record to a business over the life of that business and or record, just through wasted time, wasted efforts, wasted investments that were misguided, poor decisions made, the cost of lost opportunity, all of these things. So when we look at it, we're looking at this data now, our averages so far, we're finding like $260,000 in dirty data for the average MSP already. Right.
Wow.
So we've uncovered some $35 million in dirty data across the 200-ish MSPs on our platform, which for a lot of, I remember I was an MSP and I used to watch these sales pitch demos all the goddamn time. And they would put out some statistic and I was like, that's some BS right there. Not me, and it's nuts. Like 75% of the MSPs that are plugging into our platform, these are all sizes. Like we're talking 2-person shops all the way up to like several hundred people. You know, so 75% are finding that 40% or more of their data is dirty.
Wow.
And it's just crazy, right? And this is the data that's guiding the decisions you make every single day, right? From who's our best client, what service is our most profitable or best service, where's our time going for our technicians, you know, who are our best technicians? Everything is being guided by this, right? You make some, what's the research out there that we looked up? Some 35,000 decisions you make a day as an adult, right?
Wow.
35,000. Now those aren't all about your business, but a good chunk of them are, right? So yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask you, you know, when if you're able to get that granular and tell an MSP that much about their, you know, integration with their PSA, how long does it take to get a baseline feel once you want a scan, so to speak?
Yeah, so it depends on the PSA. Some APIs are, we'll say, not as quick for us to deal with, right? And that's totally fair because they've got a throttle and they don't need a company like Gradient just hammering them.
Sure.
But in most cases, we're seeing it's a matter of minutes to like an hour for us to get all the data that we need, do an analysis and say, hey, your sync's complete and your stuff's sitting there waiting. So,
and even to get the report, it's free?
Totally free. So I can pop you in here. Let me go ahead. Oh, I need you to open up screen sharing for me.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's see.
All good.
All right, try it now.
All right, share screen. We want to share screen too. All right. And I'll move this.
Okay.
You're seeing the screen all right? Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. So first things first, when it comes to us listening to MSPs, you guys don't want another password to log into another damn system because you're running how many different tools today to do your jobs?
Right.
So we include full SSO with Microsoft, Google, or we do a magic link if you just want to do the email stuff that way. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and sign on with Microsoft here quickly. Not
Now,
worried
what's a
about hiding
magic
my
link?
email address. So you click that, you plug in your email address, we flip
Okay.
you a one-time use token that expires. You
Okay.
click that, and that's a authentication token for a
Oh,
single
wow.
session to get in. Yeah.
I like that.
So here you go. You pop into the system. Super easy to get into. You land at your data health dashboard
Okay.
with this module here. So as we expand, there will be additional modules that'll pop up. There's the top bar there.
Okay.
But you come in and you can see your report, right? So right now I've got a score of 327 on this demo database, and that's out of 1,000. Some
Okay.
of us are baseball fans, so we want MSPs batting 1,000.
That's right.
Yeah, so it comes in and says, hey, we've got 109 new recommendations since your last sync, and we do a monthly sync for the MSPs. This was my first sync on this demo, so it got 109 in total. So you
Okay.
come down and says, okay, I found 109 dirty records. Now the cost of that to your business is $10,900. So if you go, the rule in data science is called the 110-100 rule.
Okay.
So it costs $1 for you to just have and maintain a clean record as clean for the life of your business and life of the record. It costs $10 if you identify and discover a dirty record and take the effort to clean it, generally. And that's effort to go in and see, and generally that's one bad decision made that was like, oh crap, that's clearly wrong. Now let's go back and fix that record. And then you have that $100 that we already talked about, which is you don't know it's dirty. You don't, even if you decide and determine that it's dirty, you take no action on it, and it keeps causing wasted time, and it keeps making you make bad decisions. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click in here and it'll take you to an article with information on that rule of dirty data.
Okay.
Talks about the amount of records that you've cleaned. So we like to keep track of, hey, this is how much you've cleaned. This is how much you've saved in dirty data over your lifespan with Gradient. Then we've got the 6 record types that we talked about earlier. So we've got the accounts, contacts, contracts, services, which is all the line items in all of your contracts within your PSA, your issue types on all the tickets, and then your PSA users. Because we want to make sure you don't have any old lingering accounts in your PSA either, and all of a sudden you're paying an extra $55 a month or whatever for people who you've been so busy with your business that you didn't recognize, or somebody didn't talk to somebody to get rid of the PSA account.
So I want to ask you a quick question. Now, what about those MSPs who don't technically have a PSA just yet? What if they're using a CRM? Do you integrate with any CRMs at all?
Right now, no. So we're solely into PSAs. So we've got ConnectWise Manage, Datto Autotask PSA, Kaseya VMS, Synchro, and TigerPaw. We will be adding some more over the next several months here. So by year end, we'll have another few more popular PSAs that'll be involved. But this is really where we got started on it. So if you, from this dashboard, if you want to jump in and start cleaning any individual record type, you can. This kind of gives you an information to say like, hey, so you got 29 accounts that were analyzed, 8 of them are dirty, kind of shows you a gradient score of like kind of percentage of clean to dirty across all of these things. Or you can just start cleaning or go to recommendations page. So if we click into this, it's going to show us here's the cleaning recommendations, and we'll sort it by high confidence, low confidence, high, medium, low. We just have no medium confidence on this demo database. And then we break up all the record types here. So accounts, contacts, contracts, issue types, services, and your PSA users. So if we come in, whether we want to let's start at accounts. So we can also click this and kind of expand down to see everything that's in here. So if we start right at kind of Blue Sky Group,
Okay.
so they're a customer, not a prospect, but kind of gives us different information. So we can hover over quickly and see they've never had a ticket assigned to their account. They've never had an opportunity created. They've never been invoiced. If we want to dig in and see a little bit more, we can kind of come in and see, okay, we got their PSA ID. If you want to look it up, this is when they were created in Autotask. So this is connected to Autotask. Gives you the information and then tells you, okay, this record should be cleaned. If you choose to clean it, it'll just set it to inactive in Autotask. So we're not deleting any data. We're not eradicating anything that way that you're like, holy crap, now what? Like just went and deleted data. We're only marking it and categorizing it in a way that is not going to obfuscate your reporting. Everything still lives there. The full history will still be there if you want to look at it or do anything else. And this is completely reversible as well. So
Okay.
if we kind of go into Autotask here and I dig in and go to my CRM and accounts. I do a quick search. So we'll see we've got all of these clients here and we got Blue Sky Group right here shows up, right? So, you know, if we wanted to pull up, we could go into Blue Sky Group and just verify the information to kind of show you. So it's trying to look at service tickets.
But Gradient
All
is the one that
zeros.
brought it to your attention.
Exactly.
Right.
So everything was accurate here. There's no service tickets. There's no opportunities. There's no billing. You know, like there's some pending revenue, but nothing's been invoiced. So it's definitely dirty. You don't need to do this every time. You can do it the first couple times until you trust what we're telling you here.
Sure.
But if so, you can go in and just say you're going to clean the account. It's going to tell you again, this is going to disable it in your PSA. You click confirm, it goes, we give you a little cheers. You just saved $100 in dirty data costs. Now it goes away and that's gone from the list now. It's gone. We're not going to show you that stuff anymore. You can kind of come here. If I come back here and I read, so it's right here. If I redo the search, now all of a sudden Blue Sky Group is gone, right? So now when we're searching, when we're scrolling, when we're trying to do it, it's not in the way anymore, right? When we do a report, it's not pulling up anymore.
Okay.
All of that stuff. Now, the best thing is that's not permanent or it doesn't have to be. So we can go up and jump into the activity log here. And we can see right here, I cleaned Blue Sky Group today, July 7th, right? If I want to
Okay.
revert it, or if I did a bunch, I could select a whole bunch of information and do all this stuff. But if I just want to revert that, do you want to revert the account? Yeah, I want to undo that action. Say, okay. It gives me that 10 seconds to undo the undo, or I'll show you some other place, like if we just do a quick clean. But so we've just undone that. Now, if we do our search here again, Blue Sky Group is back in the list, right? So
Gotcha.
it's all reversible, it's all manageable, but it's about categorizing and managing it really easily. So the beauty is we can come in here, we can jump into recommendations, and if we really wanted to, and we're like, hey, yeah, all of these high confidence things here, or maybe the top 4 are definite, like I recognize it, the prospects, yeah, they've never had opportunities or tickets. I can just come in and go and multi-select these things and say clean. And it's going to go ahead and confirm and clean all these records for me. I can close that. And now if I redo my search, boom, those are all gone, right? Like it's all
Nice.
handled, nice, quick, and easy. You can do it. It's a simple, easy to use interface. Again, we go back to the activity log and we say, okay, you know what, I want to undo all of these. And it just goes and does it and everything's done. If you're
Excellent.
going through things and you're seeing things like this low confidence here, able manufacturing, so they've never had an opportunity is why it's popping up. But if I say Seymour, okay, they had a ticket 8 months ago, they were invoiced 8 months ago, maybe I should find out why we're not invoicing them. Maybe this is an ad hoc client, it's not contract, you know, MRR on a managed services plan, what have you. Okay, that's fine. I can go and choose to just ignore this record and now it's gone from my list, right?
Okay.
And so you can do that across anything. And then again, if we wanted to, you know, we can jump into the PSA config. One, I could go to the activity log and revert that ignore and it would pop back up in our list of recommendations. But I can come into the PSA configuration where, I get a whole bunch of information about what's been synchronized, what's happened in the last month, when did things happen, what are my authentication stuff. I can retest or change that, but I can come in and see all the records that have been ignored across any of these things too at any time. And I can understand and see who ignored it when. I can see more about this again. I could choose to clean it right from here, or I could include it back in the list to be considered in the future.
Okay.
So super easy to kind of work through and go through, but over time, as you're gradually doing it, we recognize that very few MSPs are going to have an hour or 2 hours at a shot to like jump in and just be cleaning through a massive list and then do it all in one foul batch swoop. So we've kind of designed it in a way that if you've got 5 or 10 minutes free and you want to clear the view and clean up your PSA a bit, you can just do it record by record or a few records at a time, or focus
Okay.
on one particular type. If you're finding that, hey, my revenue reporting based on the services that I'm selling is really skewed. Okay, well then, jump up and go into services here and clean up at least your high confidence services, right? And take
Gotcha.
a look at what's impeding that. So really easy, really incremental. There's no big commitment to it or anything like that. And you can just really get going with it.
And if an MSP wants, like, later, let's say they use the product, and then a year from now they want to go through and have you clean and purge all your records from all their records on your side, will you
Yeah.
guys do that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is real and true SaaS, much like if you've signed up for things as a consumer before, right?
Okay.
You can go to your profile, and you can just cancel your account.
Okay.
And you go through it, you choose you're going to cancel, it'll purge your data. It will, kind of de-identify anything that we may want to keep for benchmarking. So, if there's things that's just like an MSP in South Carolina
Hmm.
had some of this performance history in the past.
Okay.
Again, to help feed your peers, that's stuff that we will completely de-identify and remove, any association to you, and then your name data is all just gone,
Okay.
because we don't want to keep that. And with that, we're already SOC 2 Type 1 certified, so we've got that. We entered our SOC 2 Type 2 audit period on July 1st.
Okay.
So we're striving to have our SOC 2 Type 2 by the end of 2021 here.
Okay.
So we've, full transparency, we've got all making sure we've got all the right security protocols in place. We've got all the right governance in place. We're on security, privacy, and I think it's availability or trust service criteria. So, we're focusing in on that privacy and security and trust,
Okay.
to really, make sure that we're doing things the right way, that the data that you guys are entrusting into the system as we do our analysis and everything else is handled properly and fairly and rightly, so that there's, limited risk at all to participation and stuff, and we're making sure that we're taking the right steps to protect the privacy and security of your data.
Beautiful. Well, I know that data is, and keeping the data secure is on front and center of every MSP's mind with any tool
Mm-hmm.
that they sign up for. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you have already taken care of all that. That's great.
Yeah, it's important to us as it is to every MSP. So we're on a path to become one of, if not the most certified and compliant channel vendors ever. So we'll be stepping into our GDPR compliance later this year, HIPAA, ISO 27001, and we're just gonna kind of keep going along that path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a very, very nice demo. So what you just showed us, any MSP can sign up and register for free and get that. I mean, it's instant
Absolutely,
savings.
100% free, and it takes like 2 seconds to sign up.
Okay.
It's unreal. The partners who have participated in it already, like some of them are friends that I've just known for years and years from running an MSP and Passportal, and they're like, "That was the easiest setup I've ever done for an IT software before." So it's yeah, it's super easy. You just hop on meetgradient.com if you and click get started, or you can go to meetgradient.com/check my score, and that'll just take you through the intake process there. And super easy, super simple. You just need an API account or API keys depending on your PSA. You plug it in and it gets to work. So
Well, so what gave you the idea to throw this together and come up with this company?
Again, it kind of goes back to just seeing the sheer amount of questions every day, right? And
Sure.
I'll put that to us being an industry of just very eager and very determined business owners, but not having had that opportunity to really transform the bulk of us into business owner or business people. So when we're looking at how we can let data fuel decisions, I mean, the stats out there are pretty strong. I mean, you would see, when you look at a data-driven organization compared to kind of, we'll call it gut-driven or a hunch-driven organization, the data-driven ones outperform by 6% annually. So you
Okay.
might say like, oh, 6%, whatever, right? But if you think about that, let's say you're $1 million organization, right? And you're all of a sudden you're looking at $60,000 in additional revenue or potentially profit that
Okay.
you saw versus what you would have done otherwise. Now, when you think about how that compounds annually, when you're 5 years down the road, you're 30% further along than you would have been. Now, I know a lot of MSPs who don't grow 30% in a year, right? And
Okay.
that's not a bad thing. I know 20% growth is considerable. If you can add another 1 year high growth equivalent every 5 years in business, why would you not do that? Right?
Sure.
All of a sudden, you're looking at 60% in 10 years, actually, even more than that because of how it compounds. So you're so much further ahead by doing data-driven decision making. Now, the next part of it is how can we inform, MSPs with the data that we're, cleansing and giving, and expect them to make the decisions. So one thing that I experienced as an MSP is we had a ton of data too, and we were growing really quickly.
Mhm.
And we went and bought, the most popular newfangled shiny dashboarding software out there. Well, like anything, and most often people start talking with documentation systems, garbage in, garbage out. There's no truer product category where that hits the hardest as in dashboard tools and reporting tools. Because if you have garbage reporting or informing your reporting, all you have is a pretty shiny dashboard. But beyond that, let's say the data is good. I was in that position where I'm looking at this new dashboard that we purchased and set up. I had no idea what any of those graphs meant. Is this stuff good? Is it bad? Is it okay? What the heck do I do to impact any of this, right? What would be a reasonable impact or expectation to have? If we can go and hit this world of data equality where every MSP that contributes their data can get back thousands or tens of thousands fold in intelligent collective intelligence, recommendations, this is amazing because now you can log into the system, and I hate to refer to it as like Clippy from Microsoft Word back in the day. We'll maybe new age that a bit and call it like Jarvis, right? For us nerds that
Sure.
like some of the comic book superhero guys. But imagine logging into a platform that goes like, hey, Scott, you're trying to grow your MSP. We've looked at what you've been doing and correlated that against that of your peers. Here's where you're undercharging for certain services. Let's say dark web
Ah,
monitoring. So yeah, maybe you have super high adoption, but you're leaving money on the table. So our
gotcha.
research indicates that in South Carolina, MSPs are charging for and successfully selling dark web monitoring for X. You don't need to go to your dark web monitoring company and say, hey guys, what should we be charging? Because you're going to get the same answer from every single vendor. And I gave the same answer from Passportal. Charge whatever you can get from it. We have partners that sell it for X a month, and we have partners that sell it for X a month, right? No,
Sure.
here's what people are paying. Or you can say, hey, Scott, you're overcharging for that service. And that's why it's encumbering your adoption rate. You only have 5% adoption in your customer base. If
Ah,
you reduce your price to X, our research indicates you will see 30 to 50% adoption. right?
Gotcha.
So we can start feeding stuff like that, or we can look at your whole stack and say, hey, you're not providing any services around this category. Here's some opportunity for you. Here's what you can do. Here's your biggest hits and profit opportunities and steps for you to take, right? And help you get over that next growth hurdle and hit that next milestone of growth along the way. That's what we're trying to build here. That's what we're trying to get to, where these guessing games that go on every single day and that drive you to, the business owners group here to post a question of, hey, what are y'all charging for this? Hey, who are y'all partnered with for this? Hey, how are you going about this? Or onto the MSP subreddit or whatever. Doesn't need to happen that same way again. You can still go there for the community and camaraderie and stuff, but realize when you're posting a question in these groups, and this is no discredit to what you've built with the Facebook group, because it's amazing and it's this awesome community that's
Thanks.
put together, right? The caveat is, if I ask a question, I've got no credibility behind the answers that are coming to me, right? I can't tell if it's somebody that's at the helm of a $5-10 million or more MSP that's been through the trenches, done everything, and they're giving me gold advice on what I should be doing. Or I don't know if it's Jack or Jill who, living in their parents' basement, just started their MSP yesterday, and they've got this grand vision and idea of how it should be, but they've got no real world experience, right?
Sure.
So that becomes really tough to get that clout behind the information that's feeding it, because it's also coming with that grain of salt too, that, well, you're not exactly going to pop your financials in here to prove who you are, or you're not going to do this, right?
Right.
But what we can do is say, we pulled this from the source of truth, right? This wasn't self-survey. This wasn't self-assessment. There's no grains of salt applied to it. It's pure raw data from the source of truth that then our data science people can go and look at the whole data, how it's modeled, how it works, start to find the trends, find some of the anomalies, look at what all the similar traits are, and then feed you guys back all this automated intelligence that just is your mini oracle of what you should be doing in your business to truly grow. Not, hey, here's another product for you guys to sell. Go nuts.
Right.
Enjoy selling this. Let us know if you need any help. We'll give you another branded flyer you can put out there, right? Again, I can joke and be tongue in cheek because I did all of that stuff as a vendor. I faced all of that as an MSP. And I think it's time that stopped, right? Why can't MSPs truly be empowered with something that gives them what they deserve? The insights and knowledge on their business and the industry that they've never had before, right? From the data that they can trust. And I think we're at this really amazing inflection point where technology can match the data that's available to finally deliver that to MSPs. And we're hopeful that people are willing to trust us to be that source where we can do that for you guys.
And to my knowledge, there's not another platform doing this. You're kind of the first.
We are the first. We're the crazy ones, right? So that's what we're doing, right? We love MSPs, man. Like, I started working at the first MSP or IT company that I jumped into for consulting in 2004. Like, we're 17 years deep into this industry now, between having worked for a couple MSPs, building and driving ours, sitting in your shoes, and then working with thousands of them around the world as part of Passportal, and then being part of SolarWinds. And we just love MSPs. We're fortunate. We had a very great exit with Passportal. We saw a lot of success. We're very grateful for the support that this entire industry gave us in helping drive that for us. And so we wanted to give back. We're able to be funded. We don't have to take on, private equity money. We're not looking for a quick sale to, any of the major PSA vendors or platforms in the MSP space. So we're not one of those tuck-in consolidation plays, right? We're able to stand alone. We're able to fund our business. We're able to run this and give back to the industry that's given us so much. Hopefully that all works. Right? And we can get a return on our investment one day. But right now it's driven by purpose for us, right? We feel like we all have these. I look over here because at our company, and we're fully remote, but we hold up what we stand for on everybody's desk in a frame, and it talks about that we believe every MSP deserves equal access to the data and insights about their business, right? They deserve to make decisions based on facts, not on assumptions or false pretenses. They deserve to take control of their own destiny, and they deserve to be heard, right? And so our thing is all about giving MSPs vision and voice. And what we're doing through the data intelligence stuff and this data cleaning is giving you better vision and visibility of your own business, giving
Okay.
you a better vision of the industry and how it works, how your peers are performing, things like that. And we've had a bunch of people come back and say, what's this voice? Like, where does that come into play? And that's a little further out. And again, we're thinking super long term with this business. So yeah, maybe that's a year out, maybe that's 2 years out. But where it comes from for us is raise your hands or drop a like or a comment or something in the thing here below that we're streaming on. If you've ever called a channel vendor and told them about an issue that you've had with their product, and they've said, you're the first person to ever report this to us. We've never heard of this before, right? It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not lying, right? They just haven't. They're hearing the same thing 1,000 different ways every single day. And so it doesn't correlate. It doesn't match, right? And I've been there. Like I've been Passport, we had 2,500 partners, right? So we're getting 2,500 requests. And I assure you, we wanted nothing more than to deliver what MSPs wanted. But when it's coming in from thousands of different places in thousands of different ways and wordings and everything else, and sometimes just not even coming into us, we can't hear that. There's so much noise, right? You amplify that with what I was dealing with as the VP of community at Solar Winds. We had 25,000 MSPs around the world on our software, right?
Wow.
Across a product portfolio of some 15 products, right? Imagine the compounded amplification of just noise. We wanted, from the CEO down, everybody wanted to give MSPs what they want, and so well intentioned. And I'm so excited watching that business as they're doing their spin out, going public here, I think next week now as Enable, but so well intentioned. But you can't solve what you can't hear, and there's so much noise there. What we think we'll be able to do in the future is this isn't selling against Scott's data to the dark side, but this is being able to say on the collective, here's what MSPs that resell or use your products internally are experiencing. Here's what they're seeing. We can filter that down and find all the similarities and consistencies and put it into one de facto statement.
So
And
you
now
can
say
help
we've
from the
got,
vendor side too. You can help the
that's
vendors,
what we
not
can
just the
do, right?
MSPs.
Yeah, so we can go back and say, all these things that you guys have been complaining about 1,000 different ways, we worded it so that it's one way, and we've
One
got the
way.
data. Because the other thing is those big businesses, guess what they all do? They make 100% of their decisions based off of data. None of their decisions are based off hunch. Every acquisition you see, there's months, if not years, of data research and review that's gone into modeling that acquisition from a business, from an ROI, from a success, a projections, everything standpoint, right? So again, when you're looking at product management, when you're looking at customer or partner success, they need the data to feed the answers to do what they're doing because they're on such a grand scale there. Well, if we can go back and say, here's what thousands and thousands of MSPs are showing us from their data, that's qualified now. Now they can make a decision and run with that, right?
Sure.
And what's great, MSPs get what they wanted. They're finally heard. They're getting what they're looking for, whether it's across the partner program, whether it's across the products that they're dealing with and doing it. And the channel vendors win because they can finally give the MSPs what they're looking for because they can see it and hear it. And the vendors that I've talked to about this already are ecstatic. They want this stuff right away so that they can finally understand and hear and see what their MSP partners have been trying to say to them. So we can't do that today. We hope we can do that in the future for you, but we can't do any of that if we don't have the participation amongst MSPs who are willing to come with us and join us on this journey and join this movement of really getting them what they deserve and participating in as a community here.
So what about a smaller MSP? You mentioned the MSPs with, 12 employees and such. What about the one-man shows that have say Synchro as a PSA,
Yeah,
are you able to go in and, I mean,
absolutely.
is there not enough, or
Oh no, we've got them, right? We
okay,
support it all, right?
all right,
You just need the time. And hopefully by using a solution like this, it frees up time. So you're not spending Saturday mornings trying to deal with all this stuff and do all of this crap when you should be at your kid's soccer game or sitting out on the patio with your spouse enjoying a cup of coffee or whatever, right? I've been there. I was working 18, 19 hours a day as a one-person shop when I started my MSP, right? So yeah, we integrate with, again, Synchro and all these others. There's no limit to how big or how small you can be. We're focused on everybody. We'll be
that's
adding in
beautiful.
other PSA solutions where, yeah, predominantly it's very small MSPs on it, but we're adding it because it needs to be there. And even if you go on our website and the About Us, that mission statement or that purpose, words and fair enough that I didn't say when I said it, right, is Gradient exists to give vision and voice to MSPs, but the part I left off says both small and large, right? We've seen all the vendors and things where it's focused on those 10 and up, right? We did it at Passport. We sold 10 user packages. That was the starting point for a long time. But at Gradient, we recognize that that's not the everybody. In fact, there's research out there that shows that upwards of 90% of this industry are fewer than 10 employees, right? That's the mass. So imagine what we can all do together for the massive, if 90% of this industry is under 10 employees, that means that typically we're talking like most of them are probably in that like million or under, right, in revenue.
Okay.
Imagine if this data intelligence platform can collectively help those companies surge past that $1 million mark or hit that $2 million mark. You get 90% of an industry, right, of some, let's call it 100,000 MSPs globally in there. So you got 90,000. If you can add $1 million in revenue to 90,000 businesses, that's like $9 billion in revenue opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? There's research outfits out there, Markets and Fortune Business Review, that are saying there's anywhere between 100 and 260 billion dollars on the table for MSPs in the next 5 years. Right?
Wow.
So if we can do that, look at that opportunity for MSPs. Look at what that does to either your lifestyle business, your retirement plans, just being able to delegate more and be less that pinpoint person. Look what that does as opportunity for the industry on the channel vendor side, on everything else. It's good for everybody. It's raising the tide to lift all those boats up, right? And so that's what we want to do. That's the mark we're trying to leave on this market for all that we've been able to see and achieve with this space. So,
Well, when did you actually start Gradient MSP? I know it's relatively new, but
yeah.
when did it really come to fruition for you?
So we started in October, like we incorporated at the end of October type thing. So we're
Okay.
not a year into this business, but we brought on a team of really just dedicated, determined, gritty people. We've got some of the best people I think ever, and it's such an amazing group to work with. So we've got there's 11 of us involved in the business right now, and we're running hard, and it's some of the things that we're seeing that just keeps everybody in the company charged up every day. Every new partner that jumps into the platform, we're transparent inside and out. So every single employee here sees when a new partner comes in. They see the growth of what's happening. Every person here sees when we get a support ticket, so we know what's wrong, and it's been pretty awesome. So we're keeping running hard. We got some really cool stuff coming in November that we're really excited to start unveiling bit by bit. You know me, I like doing some
Any
tease
sneak
marketing
peeks?
stuff.
Any
No
sneak
sneak
any
peeks.
hints?
No sneak peeks yet. Let's see. What can I say? So I'll say it was the number one thing that I hated about running an MSP. It
Okay.
has to do with something that you had to do every single month. It represents always in the top 3 of partner requests for features from a channel vendor. And so we're talking with a ton of channel vendors on how we can come together to solve this for MSPs as well. So we'll
Great.
leave it at that. You might be able
Yeah.
to piece some things together, but it's cleaning up another big part of the business for MSPs and helping making life easier, and hopefully help bringing home a little bit more cashola at the end of the day for MSPs. So yeah.
There you go. Well, Colin, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you going over and doing the demo of Gradient. It was a very
Yeah.
nice product. I congratulate you on a job well done, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been awesome to be on here and chatting with you guys, and yeah, looking forward to getting a whole bunch of the members of this group involved and participating. And any questions, reach out. I know I've been very focused on this conversation, so if there's comment, I'll go back to the post here on the group where the stream was, and I'll answer some other comments if the team hasn't already jumped on them. But yeah.
So what's the best way that members can reach out to you? You want to drop an email?
Hey, you can reach us if you want me, colin.knox@meetgradient.com. Flip me an email, any social media pretty much, except for Pinterest. I'm not on Pinterest. You can grab me at RealityKnox. That's me. And yeah, check out meetgradient.com. Watch what we got coming down the pipe. Check out some of the resources we've got, again, like tons of friends in the space. So the content that's feeding through in our resources on our website is huge. Just helping you make better decisions, helping you get you some of the information you need. So yeah, check that stuff out. And if you're ready to dive in and either like try to prove us wrong that your data is not so dirty, or if you just want to brag, or don't worry, we're not going to tell anybody your data health score.
And again, it's free.
It's
free for
completely
the MSP.
free. Completely free. There will be, again, stuff coming in November that you will be paying for, and when we get to that full data intelligence, that will be a paid for service, because we got to keep the lights on and pay for the data scientists and all these brilliant engineering minds and people we have in the business here. But yeah, it's all on a mission to get you what you deserve.
Sounds good. Well, Colin, thank you so much for your time, and I guess we will close it at that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.